I'm sorry, Ellie.
Oh yes, and I will climb over Dad because it's Mum that I want. Are you recording that?
Yes, I'm recording the whole thing. How am I meant to make a video with you doing this?
He's so cute.
Right, well, it's decided. Growing to grace. It's the night before we leave, and in typical fashion, we kind of wanted to have a good night's sleep tonight before we leave at like 6 in the morning tomorrow. Yeah, this is by far the rockiest we've ever experienced, even being out sailing. And I mean, this is me trying to stand up straight, and I'm not even exaggerating. Ellie doesn't really know what to do, she's just walking back and forth. You alright, Alice? Can you go upstairs? You wanna go up? Do you? Do you wanna go up and I'll watch you? Up you go. Oh, don't do that, don't do that. Go on, good girl, good girl. 10 o'clock at night, we came back at 8 to try and go to bed.
I couldn't have been like this last night. We would have had a good night's sleep, well rested.
It was pretty comical just how bad it was last night. Like, I filmed a wee bit and I was trying to show how rocky it was. Like, I was not exaggerating. And it happened all night until about 3 when we woke up at 4 to take them for a walk. So now we're going to try and get the dinghy on deck for the first time ever, and then we're going to head round to get fuel because we're half empty on that, and then yeah, we go to customs, try and check out of here. How do you feel?
Okay. Tired, to be honest.
No.
But sure, figure it out.
Just skim past this boat and turn onto this tiny little dock. That was very, 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 very good.
So that's us checked out of Croatia. We were unfortunately fined 100, was it 100 euros? 130 euros.
Basically, the checkout process was pretty quick, to be honest. The harbour master and customs took about 2 minutes each, and then I got the police, and I was like, happy days, we're going to be out of here in like 10 minutes total. Then they kind of like started, it just kind of stopped, and then they told me to sit down, and about 10 minutes later they came out and said, where have you been since you checked in on the 4th of August, which is when we did the export. And I said, well, we came down through Šibenik and then the Hvar, and like just came down Korčula, and now we're here, and we've been here just doing that for 3 weeks. So they then disappeared off for again for another 20 minutes and came back and says, right, you're being fined because you didn't tell us where you were going to be or how long you were going to stay. Which I've never heard of that before. Whenever we checked in, we had to go through to the police station, and the police had to put down that we had arrived, and they asked me where we were going and how long we'd be in Croatia for. So I couldn't argue it. Literally just, they were like, no, loads of people are getting caught out this year from the UK, so you're not the only one. And I said, great.
Still not fair though.
Well, I said to her, look, if we were to come back today and I was checking in, how do I avoid this? And she says, you just tell us how long you're going to be here for and what you're doing, and we'll do it. It doesn't cost anything. And I said, well then why wasn't it done? So the problem is, it's the only proof I have that that's what happened is I tell them that's what happened. Well, then they'll just go to the police officer in Šibenik and say what happened, and they said, oh, they didn't say anything. So you're never going to win in that scenario. So either way, it took an extra hour than planned, and an extra €100. Not the best way to leave the country, it wouldn't make you want to go back, but sure.
Bye, Croatia. Despite being expensive, you've done us well for nearly 3 months.
In typical Mediterranean style, we just call this Mediterranean sailing, where you have the engine on and you're sailing because there's no wind. I hate sailing here. It's just not a thing. It's just, it looks like we're going to be motoring for the next 30 hours. You get little spiffs of wind, you might be able to hear it. We get like 5 or 10 knots. It comes for like a minute, which is why the sails are up, and then it's just gone, dies for about 10 minutes. So there's no point taking the sails up and down, and when the wind comes you want to take advantage of it, but then this happens.
Yeah, I think he was generally on well beforehand.
Last night they both slept outside in the cockpit, which isn't really like them. They normally sleep on the deck, but it was so bad. I mean, we're rocking quite a lot now, but absolutely nothing compared to last night. That's the worst night, or worst ever, just experience on the boat. So for him to wake up, he had diarrhea like 4 times this morning when we took him for a walk. But we got some like grass carpet stuff to put down. We tried them on it the other day and they just looked at it and lay on it, so I don't know how well it will work, but
More of a grip for them, to be honest.
yeah, so we'll see. But at the moment everything's kind of going okay, other than the no wind, Cooper's pooed, and we got fined. So I suppose in reality nothing's really going that well.
Moving, we're still alive and no one's injured.
It's true.
So, silver lining in every...
Right, I need to do something with this sail. I hate this place! So we're about 2 hours in. If we get far enough south, we could possibly catch some wind, but like anything, absolutely no guarantee. We've got some wind at the moment, which is good. So we pick up about 2 knots whenever we get the wind. We're running the engine obviously, but I can't turn the engine off. The second you turn it off, the wind stops. So it's going to just be a long passage if this is just the conditions. It's flat, it's calm, can't complain about that. It's just not enjoyable whenever you can't actually sail. We're yet to have a good day where we've been able to sail for a good number of hours. I just haven't experienced that once since we got the boat. The wind's just always either not there or way too much for us to go out in, so it's hard to kind of build your experience up sailing and trying to figure out how to sail better when there's never or very rarely the opportunity to do it. And just like that, the wind has shifted again, coming from this side. Oh, it's absolutely soul destroying this. I mean, it could be a heck of a lot worse, but not being able to sail a sailing boat is bound to be the worst thing about sailing. And we just got loads of wind, so we turned the engine off, put all the sails up properly, and yeah, our loads of wind kind of just died. We are still sailing, but it's a case of, do you want to sail at 4 knots? I mean, this is sailing. Sailing is 4 knots. What do you think?
I'm in 2 minds. I would rather get there quicker for the sake of the dogs. But it is a lot more pleasant when the motor on.
If we didn't have the dogs, it would just be, we'll just sail. If it takes an extra 12 hours, it takes whatever. But I'd be very surprised if they go to the toilet on the boat. We kind of just need to work with what we've got. And there's the sails flopping away. Good for you, Mr. Sail. Okay, I think that's probably deciding it for us.
Yeah, we'll be below 4. We're 2.7 now.
Oh, screw this flippin' stupid place. So I was saying earlier on to Laura, I think last night being as rough as it was probably the best thing that could have happened, because now everything feels better.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want to experience last night for a while.
I mean, we slept, I got maybe 2.5 hours sleep last night. You got about an hour and a half. But the fact is we fell asleep in that. This is
This is very pleasant.
This is relaxing compared to that. Just trying to, as you said, just trying to occupy ourselves. So, but we've got a sunset to watch.
Dinner to have.
Dinner to have, maybe an episode or a movie or something to watch, and a little bit of an audiobook to read, an audiobook. So, and we just have a sundowner now since it's our first sunset at sea. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm so happy. It's such a pleasant sail at the minute. Well.
What do you mean sail?
Motor.
Listen to you. Okay, so a bit of an update. It's 3 AM. We haven't had any wind at all since the last update at sunset, which was about 6 hours ago. It's just kind of been motoring the whole way. I took the sails down for probably 3 or 4 hours, put the mainsail back up, because there's a tiny little bit of wind that we can maybe use to balance the boat out. There's not an awful lot of traffic around, it's pretty quiet. I've seen maybe 2 big boats. The dogs have just slept. They've just been right here beside me. Completely dead out here. It's that calm, me being out here. I've been trying to walk around so I don't fall asleep, because I actually fell asleep for about 30 minutes, which isn't great. So. We're sailing! It's now 7 o'clock. We're now passing, you can now see Albania. Yeah, we have wind, which is good. 20 hours on the dot. The engine's been running, so that needs a break. How was your long night passage?
Great. I slept too long. I apologise. Should have just stayed down there and made me get up.
What are you doing?
Making breakfast.
French toast at sea. Here we have Albania. So we're now just kind of coming down the backside of Albania. We're still about 9 or 10 hours away, but hopefully we'll start seeing quite a few pretty soon. And yes, we've actually got a little bit of wind from behind, about 10 knots, so we've got the Genoa out, and we're sitting at about 4 knots, so we're not going that quick. Again, out of the 26 hours or 27 hours that we've done, about 21 of those has been on engine, so we need to just try and get as much sail time as possible. Laura's having a sleep, Ellie's just pooed, delighted for her. Now we've got to see if we can get Cooper to go, or if we can get them to pee, because if we can do that, it kind of relieves a lot of pressure in terms of having to rush. Part of the joys of having a dog on board and trying to do a passage, like if we can get them to do that, then long passages aren't a problem. That's the biggest stress. Good girl, aren't you? Yeah. Feel a bit better? You probably sound like a pee. Sleeper over there. She's on about 7 or 8 hours sleep here. She's having a laugh. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to wake Laura up and tell her a bit of it. So, we do see how she wakes up. Ellie pooed.
Where?
On the grass.
She pooed but didn't pee?
Surprisingly, yeah.
That's weird.
We had a bit decided let's go wing on wing, put the preventer on the boom. In the time that I got the preventer on, just massive amounts of wind came. Of course, the wind just changed direction. We accidentally jibed ropes that were attached to the jib sheets. They came off the jib. It ended up just getting wrapped and wrapped. We got one rope completely stuck in the jib furling system, and after a lot of fighting, I managed to get the other rope back on. We furled it all back out, untangled the rope. This is over about 20 minutes. Now the jib won't go all the way in, so I'm not entirely sure what's happened there. Pretty much what caused the whole thing is the autopilot just decided, and not because the wind came and the wind shifted, the autopilot just completely screwed up, and in the middle of it all didn't Cooper go and poo in the cockpit. Another 6 hours to go. It's just turned 3:30, so we'll be arriving probably about 10 o'clock, but we might stop before that, just before we arrive, for about 30 minutes to an hour to try and get this sail in, because it's somewhere that's quite protected, because we don't want to get to the anchorage that we're going to and it might not be that protected and we can't get it sorted. So what about yourself? Well, you haven't really done any video in the whole time you've been here. I've done all the updates.
Right.
Here, you take the camera. I think that's what you should do.
But you've already updated everything, so what's different, alright? What do you want me to say now? Oh dear. I don't know how to do this YouTube stuff. How do you talk to your camera? Okay. Now it's time to change our flag from the Albanian one to the pretty Greece one.
The Albanian one was up for all of like 20 hours.
It was up for about 20 hours, yeah.
We didn't even get to put the Montenegro one up, so that's
no, we did not. Yeah, it's exciting. We've actually made it to another country. Well, haven't checked in or got the land yet, like, but we've made it so far.
we can see it. It's 20 miles away. Okay, right. Which is a big one too as well.
Yeah. So while we were waiting for Peter to put up the Greek flag, Ellie and Cooper went to the toilet for the first time. Yay! Yeah! So happy with herself. So much happier now, aren't you? So Ellie has started not really crying, she just made like a few noises. So I thought I would try her again, and she went very quickly, quicker than she normally would go on a grass. So, and we were right when we say once Ellie went, Cooper would go. So problem is they're going to kind of forget, I would say, to use it, because we're not crossing for another while. But hopefully that's the start of it, and actually we'll be able to use it from now on. The only downside is the cleanup. We really need to get like a black tray, because it's just not ideal how we're doing it right now. But yeah, positive news. And I think dun, 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 time to hoist the flag. And there it goes. It's such a good feeling to actually get crossing to another country. Like, who would have thought? Oh, come on, food. I feel like oh, what child was that?
Okay, so that's us finished. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, because now we have a whole new country to explore. Thanks for watching. Bye.